You wake up in a pitch black room. Your head hurts and you can barely discern the figure seated in front of you from the shadows. Your hands aren't tied, but you're not free to go, not without a challenge. Welcomed by a coarse voice that rumbles like a tuba, you get to know the rules of the game. Sacrifices must be made. Hello, this is Siege Reviews, and we're going to talk about the card-based mystery game Inscryption. Released in 2021, this game by Daniel Mullins quickly became a big hit among gamers and critics alike. Making use of simple but well-polished and charismatic assets, mesmerizing animations, rich sound design, and a lurid cryptic writing, this game is a perfect example of how to craft a unique experience with a solid base of well-established horror tropes while building upon them with unique spine-chilling twists. There's so much to talk about Inscryption, but do not get overwhelmed by it. In this first episode, we're going to focus on a single aspect: how the developer employed the affordances of electronic games, the cans and cannots of video games as qualified media, as tools to set an unnerving atmosphere, which can get pretty intricate when you start to get meta. By the way, a minor spoilers warning. It's inevitable to reveal some details when talking about the workings of a game, but don't worry, we won't go over any of the big plot secrets. Most of what I'll present you is introduced in the first 20 minutes of play. I very do recommend you to beat the game by yourself before or after watching this video. One of the highlights of Inscryption is its art direction, which manages to combine gritty aesthetics with tasteful dashes of visual flair to serve an overarching narrative. The cards look handmade, cut out from yellowed paper stock, and crudely illustrated with running black ink. They are handled mostly as ordinary cards, but they come to life when played on the table, pouncing to attack opposing spaces, and shivering when they are about to be sacrificed, reinforcing the feral animals thematic to share. After a battle, the cards are swept away, and a map is unrolled on the table, presenting branch trails surrounded by popped-up trees. The player can choose a path to follow by dragging the wooden figurine to the next encounter. These elements simulate a tabletop game, mimicking the sensorial experience of manipulating physical objects. At the same time, those objects are imbued with otherworldly behaviors by programming and animation. You feel as if you could replicate the game in real life. The sense of physicality is compelled by the clever implementation of a mostly diegetic interface. The player rings the bell to end their turn, and the score is kept by dropping weights on an old-fashioned scale. Lit candles show how many lives are available, and useful items can be collected along the journey. Scissors can cut an opposing card, and an hourglass makes their opponent skip a turn. Players can remove a tooth to be used as 1 point on the score. A dagger can be used to stab. By employing 3D representations of trinkets and hand tools to express mechanics and interactions, the game avoids breaking the player's immersion by not presenting elements foreign to the narrative, except when it wants to. The versatility of electronic games not only allows the incorporation of the capabilities of different media, it can also recreate limitations in order to achieve fascinating results. Some of these are aesthetically motivated, such as the low resolution, dithering, and scanline filters applied to the video output. Those visual artifacts were naturally occurring on CRT displays and are artificially imposed on current technology in order to allude to another generation of games, while also giving a warped and eerie quality to moving pictures, which is desirable in this horror scenario. Software errors can also be simulated to confuse and disturb the player, such as fake crashes that briefly interrupt gameplay, or planned events disguised as glitches that put the player in unfavorable positions or limit their options. It may not make much sense at first. Why break the immersion that's so carefully constructed? Just to catch the player off guard with a cheap scare? In fact, the game is giving you a literal heads up. It's so easy to get engrossed in discard play, striving to progress through the wilderness with the table framed by darkness being your whole universe. But you must realize there are questions to be answered. What is this place? Why are you here? Actually, your challenge eventually asks you to stand up and walk around. There's a whole cabin to explore. This is a different game, an escape room with puzzles and different rules. Often those two games work together. You need knowledge from the tabletop game to solve the puzzles around the room. And you can find items and cards in the room that will be useful in the tabletop game. However, sometimes you have to make counterintuitive plays to advance and spend a lot of time fiddling. And you may get so focused juggling those two aspects that they may be easy to dismiss. But if you pay a bit of attention, you'll notice there is another entity present, seldom commenting on our plays. You're not only playing a card game while you're trying to solve the puzzles of an escape room. You're watching and recording of someone else playing. There's a game within the game, and a game outside the game. Who's this person? What happened to him? Why are you seeing this? Instead of the sweet answers you were waiting for, you're fed another plate full of hard-to-chew questions. I'll have to be honest with you, that's why I think the game's writing nearly overexerts itself and demands almost too much from the player. It ends up working at the end, but many negative critiques hover around this found footage aspect in later segments of the game, and I can't comment too much about it while keeping these videos spoiler free. I'll probably make another episode aimed at people that finished the game, so stay tuned. What I can say for now is, this game takes you for a hike and then invites you to cleave through the dark forest. It's up to you to follow it. And when you go out of the beaten path, you're subject to a rough trip across dangerous terrain. You may feel uncomfortable, frustrated, but the challenge will push you forward, hopping from clue to clue. At some point you feel that maybe you're reaching things you're not meant to see. But even with plenty of warnings to go back, the thrill of discovery will keep you going, and that's when curiosity kills the cat. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more game reviews.